It's like the San Fernando Valley Glen Loop.
My own studio. Is it a little bright? Should I turn it down a little?
It is bright. His is good. He has great color on him.
On who?
Yours is very bright.
Is it mine too bright?
Hi, welcome to the Method Actor Speaks. And today's guest, she's a lifetime member of the Actors Studio. And before I get into, Catherine CARLEN to speak, I have to admit something. At the studio, we have moderators. And Catherine CARLEN, I'm not saying because you're on the show, you're the best when it comes to moderating. If anybody's ever going to take over Salome's place, I really would like you to take over. I would.
Wow.
I'm such a big fan of yours, and we have another Wagner in here.
It's Maggie.
It's
The
Maggie.
mother.
Mother's here. We have. Well, anyway, I know Catherine when I met her. I was 88 when I did the Bronson movie, Messenger of Death. But I was looking up you, and you did. Your first movie was what, Nighthawks?
Yeah, one of my first movies, yeah.
You were a dancer.
Yeah, it was Stallone. I was a dancer. I was a dancer who talked.
Boy.
I talked. I said to him, what are you, gay or something? I don't know, some kind of stupid line like that because he wasn't coming on to me the way that I wanted him to. Still, my light's so bright, but I'm sorry about my light.
Yes, that's better.
Is that
better?
better?
A little better now, yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? It's coming from outside. Can I just try one thing, John? Hold on one
Go
second.
ahead. And I've never met you, Judith. Is that right?
No, you never have.
No, I have never met you. Good. You look like your daughter's a wonderful actress, works all the time. And we have Catherine is back.
Is that better?
That is better.
Okay. I think it was the outside light. See, it's like right here. It's so bright. It's sunny California. If there's anyone here that's not in California, like Maggie, she's in New York.
And my mom.
Oh, and your mom's here too?
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Hi, I'm in New York, Catherine.
So great. So we'll go back to Nighthawks. That was a big deal for me because I had been studying acting with Uta Hagen, and I was doing script interpretation with Stella Adler, and I was like, really working hard on my craft, so to speak. And I got this part, and I remember it was like a day player part in a movie, and I told Miss Hagen, that's what we called her. We never called her Uta. And I said, "Oh, Miss Hagen, I'm going to be doing this." She said, "Oh, the movies." And she just shook her head. She just, she only wanted to talk about the theater. Television was taboo. You didn't do television.
Right.
Of course, we didn't have it in New York at the time, but all the shows were out here in LA. So it was like a big thing. I thought she would be thrilled for me as this young, actress. And she was more like, oh, goodness. Oh, you're selling out. So I thought that was funny to remember. I loved her. I absolutely loved her.
Her book, The Challenge to the Actor.
Yes.
Actually, Salome Jens recommended the book. She said that's the best book on acting ever written.
I think it's the best book on acting too. I honestly, I have it right here. Funny
I have
enough.
it here. Yeah, that's it right there.
That's it. I love that book. I loved Respect for Acting was the book we worked off of when we were in her class. I was in her master class for 5 years. And she was a very, very tough teacher. She really, you had to bring all your props, John. You had to bring everything, like your entire apartment. Like if you were if you had a scene that was in the kitchen and living room or whatever in your apartment, you had to bring all your pots and pans. You had to bring, your rugs. We would have, those little baskets you roll when you go to the grocery store in New York.
Yeah.
We'd fill them full and we'd be rolling all our stuff to HB Studio. And actually I was married at the time, not to my cute husband who's on here now, Biff, but I was married, and my husband at the time, Bob, he used to say, "What are you doing with all our stuff?" And I would say, "I have to go to acting class." And then I was working on a scene. I would always work on several scenes with different people. I was very busy. And I would rope off parts of the apartment and you couldn't go in it. It was roped off for Blanche or whatever I was working on, you know, from Streetcar. I loved acting. I fell in love with it, and I'm still in love with it. It's just harder to come by these days at my age, which I'm 100.
You seem to work a
I'm
lot.
110.
What year was this? Can I ask what year would you?
Yeah, this was in the late 70s, yeah. Where were
No,
you?
can I just say before I let you go on? When I got parole because of my acting when I was in Sing Sing, and I was supposed to, when I got out, they wanted me to go to HBO studios, but
HB Studios, HB, not HBO.
HBO, I mean HB.
HB, yeah.
But they wanted to send me to Terry Schreiber, and I always wanted to go to HB, Herbert Berger with Hickey and them.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go with them. We lost somebody here.
Oh, Judy
You lost your
Loveless.
mother.
Well, we had her for a minute though. That was good. We had her. For a minute.
I don't know.
Anyway,
She probably went to get a tuna sandwich. She's
I mean,
busy.
from what I know of you, I mean, I know you love acting. You teach private coaching, and this and that, and Maggie's been a dear friend of yours for I don't know how long. And I mean,
I met Maggie at the Actor Studio. I got into the Actor Studio much later, like 2004 or 5.
yeah.
And I was, I just never did the audition process. Honestly, I thought I would be rejected. So I don't know why I thought that, but I did. And so it was too intimidating to me. But then as time went on and years went on and I was coaching all these stars here, actually it was Leslie Ann Warren, John, who said to me, you should be a member of the studio, because I've coached her for 35 years or something. And now I have. And she said, you should be a member of the studio. And I thought, well, yeah, I mean, you have to audition. She said, yes, but I have someone for you to audition with. And anyway, I auditioned with that girl and it didn't go past go. The girl got that letter, that famous letter, come back in a year. And then they sent me a letter that said, would you come back with a different partner in a different scene? And I thought, okay. So I called one of my clients, John Deal. Do you know him from, he's done like 150 movies. He was in Miami Vice. He did all those Jurassic Park movies. Anyway, I called John and I was coaching him at the time. And I said, John, I want to do this thing at the Actor Studio. You want to do a scene with me? And I said, and he said, sure, anything you want. And I said, well, what are you doing right now? Because he was in New York. And he was doing Lie of the Mind off Broadway with Sam Shepard. I said, that's a good scene. You know all the lines. That's perfect. Let's do that one. So that's what we did. We worked on it. And I worked on it like I knew you had to work on it. Because, you know, I had Susan Batson as a teacher. Do you know her, John?
Her, I don't know, no.
She's in New York. She's a lifetime member of the Actor Studio. She worked with Herbert and with Uda, but she also worked with Stella. And it was really interesting because when I just got a message from Jack Heller saying he can't come.
Oh.
Whoa, that's too bad. So anyway, it's flashed across my screen. That's okay, Jack. You know all my stories. But where was I? What was I talking about? Something. Was someone following it?
You were doing the Lie of the Mind.
Oh yeah, Lie of the Mind. Thanks, John. So anyway, I told Biff, I know what this entails at the studio. The work that has to be done at the studio is so deep and so, you know, it's the method. So I have to take kind of like divorce myself from you and little CARLEN, my little daughter, and the animals for a few weeks. And really it turned into months. I would just rehearse all the time. I did all these exercises. I did all this stuff. I would go to Ojai, where John was living. I would make him rehearse forever. He didn't know what in the world was going on. He was doing the show off Broadway with Sam, and I'm making him do all this stuff. I mean, I would spend days and hours, like just shucking corn, like I was the character. I just lived the character for all this time. So by the time we did it, we passed go immediately, but then we went to finals like 2 months later. It was just very close to final time. And when we did it, Mark, which is Maggie's uncle, Mark Rydell, and Marty Landau, they stopped us. And Helen, who, you know, runs the studio, she went down the walkway and said, wait, they want to talk to you. And I thought, oh my God, they had, this chair with this light over your head, like, you were being interrogated. And they started asking me questions about my acting background, who I was, where I've been, was I going to come to the studio? Was I going to participate? And I kept saying, yes, yes, and crying. And they did the same to John separately. And then we both got in. So that was wonderful. And since then, I've done projects with both of them. I did that play. What was that play, Mag? What did I do with your uncle? Sunshine Boys. Sunshine Boys, yeah. It was so fun with Mark and Marty. And I've done other plays there too. And luckily, Marty told me a long time ago when he was still here that he really wanted me to moderate. And he'd asked me to moderate one time when he was still here, and I was sick. I was very, very sick, and I couldn't do it. So then Salome asked me a couple of times, and I've really enjoyed it, John. That's when you've seen me do it. I just love it. I think it's because I'm a teacher. I coach a lot of people. I still do. I'm doing Coach Zoom now, which is kind of like what we're doing now. I do a lot of FaceTime too, and I'm coaching Europe and everywhere. I mean, people are out there still trying to work. So that's good. I feel a little frustrated about the work right now for me. I'm usually, me, I'm usually working all the time. So it's very odd, isn't it, Mag? It's just a very odd.
You're like someone I always think with always working a million jobs.
It's just an odd time for me. It's just not, the parts aren't there for me, I don't think, but also the COVID, the COVID really stopped it for a while. But now the coming back of it is slow. And, I think we all have our season. Honestly, I think we do. I think there's a season for everybody. And right now it just hasn't been my season yet. That could change today. But the point of this story is, John, I stay in a state of preparation. I stay tuned up. What do I mean by that? I read my books, I continue to read, I've read this book 100 times. I'll read other books. This guy, I don't know if you ever saw this guy. Did you see this guy before?
No.
Harold Clurman. Harold Guskin.
Guskin.
Harold Guskin. Yeah, he was in New York. He's gone now, but he was very influential in my audition process and what I'm teaching right now, about how to be in the moment and get yourself in the moment and to work on the audition process. Because the audition process, is very, very different than anything we do. It's kind of strange. And also making these tapes, or, we're all by ourselves making tapes, making our own choices. But, when you have a casting director in a room with you, he or she can say something that shifts it in the right way of what the people are looking for. So it's just a long shot these days.
That is all changed now. It's all video. It's no more personal, where you get in. But please go on. I mean, when I think about you, I remember when I got into the studio, it was Mark Rydell, Marty Landau, and Sidney Pollack were my judges. And I remember when I told you I was a member of the Actors Studio, I got in. I always remember you said to me, "That's better than winning an Oscar."
Yeah.
I remember you said that to me.
Well, I still believe that. I actually believe that, John. Yeah. I think it's a really meaningful, powerful thing. And I'm sure some people don't think it. I mean, I have friends that say, oh, it's just bullshit. But honestly, to me, it's the deal, because these people that were judging us, Sydney, I worked for 9 months on Tootsie. He was the director of Tootsie, and I was the stand-in to Jessica Lange. And I was not a normal stand-in. Owen Roisman was my DP, so he was in charge of me. And I had the same color hair, whatever, the same height. We were like the same size. Everything was like a perfect match for the DP. It wasn't like an understudy. That's not what happens in film. It's just really for lighting. You're part of that crew.
Right.
But Dustin found out very quickly who I was, what I was doing, that I was auditioning at the Public, that I was with Uta Hagen, that I was I was observing at the Actors Studio at the time in New York. He found that all out, and forget it. Every day he acted with me in front of the crew. We would do all kinds of things, and Sydney would watch. So it was time to have that scene in the movie where it was the acting class. And Dustin wanted me in that scene so bad. He told Sydney, Catherine's got to be in it. But to Sydney, I was Jessica's stand-in, and I looked too much like Terry and Jessica, and he didn't want me in it. And Dustin said, well, we can just change our hair colors. And he said, no. And I was so disappointed. I was so sad. But then during the process of that movie, I got a recurring role. Actually, it was a regular role, I guess they call it, not recurring, but a contract player on a soap opera called Texas, which is no longer around, as a nurse. And Jessica Lange was playing a nurse. So it was also kind of crazy. So Dustin had a huge party, and Sydney was so sweet to me. And they had a big cake of Texas and my name on it. And I forgave him for not letting me be in the movie. But still to this day, if I ever see the movie, and I still think you're going to find me in that movie. I kind of look for myself because every minute I was there through the whole process.
God, that's interesting. Unbelievable, you know. And for Maggie, for your uncle, one of the biggest compliments I ever got at the studio when I was doing Huey, when Mark said to me afterwards, he said, I love to work with you. And I thought to myself, wow.
Wow.
I was so, I mean, to have Mark Rydell come up to you and say, I like to work with you.
That's huge. That's huge.
That is huge. He still is, but he's brilliant, you know. He was one of my favorite moderators.
Seeing Maggie here, it just made me think of that. It was one of my proudest moments to be, you know, because I'm not I was talking to Valentina Quinn today, and like, she's not a method actor. She, you know, because I wanted her to come on, and I'm not a method actor. She's just do it. And I've always considered myself a just do it actor. Mm-hmm. It's one of the strange things, the conflict I have of being a member of the Actors Studio. I'm not a method actor. I don't.
Well, I think you are, John. I think you are. I beg to differ. I think you are a method actor. I think what it is, just do it, is part of the method. Okay. The method is actually being real, and you're very, very real. I've seen you do Huey. I've seen it happen, and it's so real and so down to earth. And that's what everybody's working on in the method. I mean, Hagen used to say it all the time. If we see the acting, it's not good. Yeah. We don't want to see the technique coming out. We want to see the real person living truthfully under those circumstances. And that's what's fun to me. Yeah. And I think that's what's fun to you. So you are doing the method. Well, I think there's
Shelley Winters told me that one time. The best advice she gave me as an actor, I was doing Gary Gilmore, and she said, "Sit down, John, you're acting." You know? Yeah. And, yes. And I've always kept that, you know. And yes. So I always try not to act.
That's it. Remember that. That's the trick. And those techniques that we have, they help you not act because they're helping you sensorially be in the moment. They're helping you with your substitutions that you might have. And that could be subconsciously connecting you. So you're doing the method without even knowing you're doing the method.
That's probably something, because I don't, like when I'm doing Huey, when I'm there, I could feel it when I go into Huey. It's not that I'm not, I don't know how, it's very hard to explain, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, because you're still John, but you're Huey. And that is a hard thing to explain, because, you know, what happens when you get these auditions that come in? I deal with auditions every day with myself and with other people. These auditions come in, you read them. Now, what you need to do is read them. You need to read them and spend at least an hour before you start popping it on tape. Even though they say, we got to have it now, blah, blah, blah. Spend an hour, mull it over. What's going on? What's the circumstances? What's happening? You know, what's my relationship to this person? Where am I? And the big thing, who am I? And you've done Huey for so long that you know who Huey is. Yeah, I know. So when you get out there, sometimes you think you're not doing anything, but you are, because you've already created him and you're doing Huey. Yeah. You're living like Huey. So that's what the method is really all about.
When I did my final, I did Frankie and Johnny, Salome recommended me.
Oh,
to
you
do
would be great at Frankie and John.
Now, here's the thing. This is the truth. I remember going up to Salome and I says, I can't identify with this. And she says, just do it.
Yeah.
I did it with Judy Baldwin. And I don't remember doing the scene. I actually don't remember what I did for your uncle and Sydney and Marty. I don't remember what I did.
Mm.
I do remember grabbing her legs at the end. I don't know why I did that.
That part you would remember.
I grabbed her
I
legs.
remember that part.
It was the end.
That's
And I don't
right.
know why I did that, but I just did it. And I had no clue what I was doing up there.
Well, you were in the moment.
Yeah.
You see, the whole thing about the method is all trying to get in the moment. How do we get in the moment? And there's all these techniques, and sometimes we have to use them all, and other times it just subconsciously works. I mean, you just, it just happens. You just like are there. Other times you have to really work on it. You really have to.
Now,
I've had some parts.
Maggie's getting ready to do a film in New York, aren't you?
No, I'm doing a short film.
I thought you were
Yes,
doing the
I guess
gangster movie.
No, the director died 2 days ago.
Oh, yes.
That's so
it was that
sad.
John
Gallagher. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the movie got canceled.
Because I was
Actually, the movie might still happen, but obviously with a different director.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
he
sad.
died. Yeah.
Because Tony Sirico is a good friend of mine, and actually I told Sally and them, I never get a lot of people know my background from the studio. I never get cast in gangster movies. I don't know why. And I was in the mob for all my life.
Oh, that's funny. The real mob guy doesn't get the mob part.
Tony Sirico, he knows who I am.
Tony Sirico, a real guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
Well spotted. John knows.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know.
Trust me. Tony.
So you're missing the studio,
Tony,
John? Are these
do miss
days
the
you
studio.
missing? Yeah.
The first play I did at the studio was called The October Night at Tommy Zero, with Mike Gazzo wrote, which it turns out, originally, Tony Sirico did it in New York. It was called The October Day of Tommy Zero, Mike Gazzo. So Tony did it in New York. It's just fun because the play has never been done again. It was only done at the studio. Al Bonadias was the director. That's what got me into the studio as a finalist when we did it at the play. That was back in 1985.
Wow.
So you're doing
I miss the studio. I miss it a lot. I miss the people and the work and talking about the work every week and watching it and being part of it and the hands-on of it and the human contact. This has been very difficult. I did one of those online plays. Maggie saw it, Biff saw it.
Yeah, great.
The smartphone?
It was that smartphone theater. It was very odd because, you're acting all by yourself and the other person's acting all by themselves in their apartment and you're not communicating. You're acting with yourself, which is so not fun. I like the human contact. I like they're starting to get back to work. Yeah, I like the connection. It is starting to happen. They have a lot of protocols going on to stay safe and everything else. So I think that it's getting back together now. I think they'll start having a new normal. That's what I'm going to say. There's going to be a new normal. We're going to wear shields in between scenes and masks and, and we'll be able to do it. It's just, I don't know. I just find it so sad what has happened because of this COVID. So sad.
It's tragic.
Yeah.
It is tragic. It's so many, not only the sickness, but so many people are out of work and
I know.
And it's destroying lives. And,
I know. It's really
going left and right. They're there's just no more.
I know.
Broadway's closed down. This and that. And it's
it's really something. Biff and I were talking about, Maggie, I didn't tell you this. Biff and I were talking recently about maybe moving to New York. And I know this would make Maggie so happy. And I was one of the real reasons right here, right in your building. One of the real reasons was to do off Broadway, to have my last run I'm 67 years old. I mean, how much time do I get to do it? A lot of time. And I thought, where would I really want to go? And that would be New York to do this work. But the truth is, they're not back yet. There is no off Broadway right now.
No.
There's COVID, so I have to kind of, weigh it out and see. And I don't know. But I just thought I would mention that since Maggie would like
I'll
that.
get you in
hear
my
that.
building. I'll get you, because you would qualify for the building here.
Maybe.
You're not in Manhattan Plaza, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I could have gotten in there many years ago. They opened another one on 57th Street too. I was on
But
the
this is
list.
the best one. We have tennis court. This is great for Catherine and
Oh,
Biff. They tennis court,
Manhattan
swimming
Plaza's
pool,
the best. That's a great building.
jacuzzi, everything,
Everything there. Oh,
Everything. I know.
Famous actors live here now. They're on
Yeah.
a series. What's her name? She's in the studio with the red hair.
Who is that?
Becky Ann Baker
Oh,
and Dylan Baker. The couple, Dylan.
yeah.
They were in that thing with Pacino. They live downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
They're
and so
on
the
a
thing that-
series.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's so great about that building, but also what's great about New York, John, is that we've got the studio there.
Oh my
We got
God.
the studio in LA.
You
So
walk.
that's what I was talking to Biff about, creatively, I get really sick of going up for one line. I mean, on television, I'm like, okay, I'll do it because my managers and my agents, want to keep me in the game, but
You
boy,
did
is
great
it
in New
not
York.
creative. I
You
mean,
did
it's
great in
like,
New York.
I need to do something. I
Plus,
really need to
Catherine,
do something.
Catherine,
You
there's
know-
like
you
30
know-
shows now working here. 30 shows are up shooting.
I
now.
know.
All my friends are shooting, so
I know those shows are up. They're doing the protocols and shooting. I know
everything.
that.
And the transmission in New York is better. It's like it's like under 1%,
Yeah.
COVID.
Theater will be
I know.
closed,
I knew
Charlie.
if I told you
know?
that, you'd start selling me on the idea, Wag.
I'll make it really fun for you guys.
Make it really fun.
You know
And
that?
then
No,
we
I
can
know.
go to the studio together.
She's just talking.
I know, but it's
Maggie,
fun to think about it.
Did
It's
you know
really
that
fun
Theodore
to think about
Bikel
it.
started
What, honey?
Manhattan Plaza? Theodore Bikel, when he was head of equity. He
Oh, is that who
started-
started it?
Yeah, Theodore Bikel, when he was head of equity. Yeah,
Well, we need to tell people, if anybody ever sees this,
he's the one
we
that
need to
created
tell
that.
them that it depends on how much you make, right, Mag? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to put your names down on the list. It'll take 5 years. You might as well put your names on now.
yeah, put my name on the list. Go ahead. That's
put
about
a
the
name
right
on the
time,
list.
Mag, 5 years.
Put my name on the list too.
Put our names on the list, Mag.
You know what? I'll put it on. What's the difference? Might as well,
No
right?
difference. Because
You
what
know?
they do is what they did to you. They contact you and ask you.
That's it. You want to come? You don't want to come. And you just take it. I pay $200. So what? I could
I
go
know.
to California,
And it all depends on, I was trying to explain that I don't know it as well as you do, but doesn't it depend on how much your income is? And then
Yeah.
it goes, yeah.
And it only caps at a certain,
Right. The most you could pay is $1,500 for a 1-bedroom.
I remember back then it was $850 when I was living in New York.
And Joe Marusco, remember him?
Yes.
He has a studio, giant studio. I think he pays like $800, but it's like a huge studio,
Yeah.
John
So it all
Fortuna
depends on how
lived
much
there.
you make.
Yeah.
Remember,
Look at hers. Look how great it is.
Yeah.
$200. I mean, it's not huge, but I don't know if you guys can see, but
I
Yes.
see it.
That's big.
It looks really good, Meg. You're
$200.
very neat.
I'm very neat.
You are. You're so neat.
The
And
average
there's a-
apartment is what? 2,000?
No, more. I think it's more, John. 2000 is like in LA.
See, welcome to New York, Catherine.
I know. There it is.
Mm.
Woo-hoo!
It is.
It excites me. It totally excites me. I spent 10 years in New York, and every minute of it I loved. I loved every minute of it. It was a crazy, wild
It'll be
time.
fun. It's fun now. It's still fun,
Yeah, I was born there, so
Yeah. So maybe we should all go.
I miss New York. You felt
Well,
alive
and I
there.
think that, that's one of the things about COVID and Zoom and everything. You're on Zoom. You could be anywhere, couldn't you?
doesn't
It's like-
matter anymore.
No, it doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't,
Yeah. So Maggie, tell us about this film you said you're doing.
No, I was going to do a film, but with this guy, John Gallagher.
No, a new one you said.
Oh, it's a movie that from a girl in LA named Allison Stover. She's an actress. I don't know if you know her, and she wrote a short film called The Four Walls of Charlotte Moreland about her who was beaten up by her boyfriend, and it's all about abuse. And I just have a small role. I'm not important at all. I just play somebody she meets like in Central Park and who tells her something. It's not important.
Well, is this the one that has the little superhero girl in it?
No. Oh, no. That's something else. That's something
That was
else.
something else.
Yeah.
She looked cute with her little
She's
superhero.
cute. Yeah, I'm her aunt, and I'm also a superhero.
Oh, you are too? A superhero aunt?
Yeah, in fact, she inherited the family talent, which is that we're
Oh,
superheroes.
the superheroes.
And suddenly there's fire coming out of her. She doesn't understand what's going on, and it's just about empowering yourself, and
Yeah.
how we all have, something about ourselves.
How do you get these jobs, Mag? Does your agent get them, or do you get them
on Facebook?
Facebook.
I got it on Facebook because I met the both of them on Facebook. I met Allison on Facebook, and she said that I could be in the movie. And then I met the director of the other one on Facebook.
Unbelievable.
And I met 10 other people on Facebook.
You always meet a lot of people. I'm surprised you're not married already from
I
someone
know.
on Facebook.
I know that part's hard, but you can get parts, So,
Get parts, just not husbands.
not husband.
Got to get a husband.
I know. I really do. This is getting a little crazy.
It's a little crazy. So what are you up to, John?
You have something you just finished. I saw it's coming out next year. Something you did, Catherine?
Me? Catherine.
Me? What do I have coming out? Well, I have several things happening. One thing is this show with Tug and Tommy called, what is it called, Biff? We're talking something? Turn your sound on.
We're talking now.
Now we're talking.
Now
we're talking. Yeah, and it was a little series, John, and it's absolutely hysterically wonderful. And I play Tommy Dewey, who's a great actor. He has a show called Casual that was on for a long time on Amazon. But I play his mom, and it's a really fun role. I love this role. So that's come out, and we're going to do more of that. Another season, we're hoping. And then I did a show, another series called 37 Problems, and she's going to do another season. That'll be her third season. And I play her mom. And I play a lot of moms. And
A lot of moms.
I play a lot of moms. And then this gal that I played her mom many years ago. I don't know if Maggie remember this, is when I first started back in after I'd taken my hiatus with my daughter, was a little girl. I stayed out for 10 years and came back. It was a movie called Last Christmas. And it was like one of my first ones. It was Michael Aronson. And it was this really great part. And the whole thing was about this character I play about my husband dies and all this. Anyway, she played one of my daughters. I had a couple. And she's making a movie, and she wrote it with me in mind. I haven't spoken to her in 10 years. And she contacted me and she said, I want to offer you this role. And then, so she's getting that together. And so there's that I got a lot of stuff like, John, like in the future kind of happening. Yeah. I don't see it now. I wrote a note to my manager today saying this is the longest period I've ever had of not having a job. He didn't write back.
Well, did your private coaching keep you going?
Yeah, I keep coaching, and I've got a lot of coaching, so I stay busy and I audition. But my auditions have been so weird, like they're just not really right for me. First of all, I'm 67, so I can play 50s, 60s. That's a really good thing. But when you put me in like 40s to 50, I'm not going to win. And I'm playing going up for these parts that I could play their mother.
You could play 40. I don't know. I mean, you don't.
You're
no
so
way.
Sweet, but
I would never take
really.
it for 67. Never.
No, not even close. Like not even
close.
No.
Well,
not even close.
Anyway, so that's probably what he's thinking, and he's submitting me, and
That's what I always say.
That's what the husband chimes in.
Yeah.
I did something the other day, John, that was so sexy, and Biff is shooting now with me and acting with me. My husband, who's a non-actor, he's a producer. He's a retired producer, but now because of COVID, you can't go anywhere and act with anybody, and they can't come over. So he acts with me. First, I coach him. We get the material. I coach him on how he's going to do it. I go, no, that's too much. La, la, la. I mean, I'm so busy with him. So I get him all ready. Then I start working on my part. And this part the other day was this sexy woman neighbor who's trying to make it with this guy. I haven't played those kind of roles in so long. And, at first it was like, oh, and I kind of had to find that place in me. So then I started putting on these little nighties and these little things. And I was like dancing around and singing in the house. And all of a sudden I was feeling it. I was doing it. And I was like, oh. And then she's in bed and she's like, oh, this. And I just thought, wait a minute, it's still in me. I can still play this. I didn't book it, but I sure played the hell out of it.
I'm liking this COVID, this COVID has its advantages.
You see, Biff? You're getting all the advantages.
That's it. And we had to do it over and over and over again.
Oh,
until
you
she
know what?
got
Here,
it
the
right.
dirty.
He kept messing it up on purpose.
That
Let's
goes,
do it
yeah.
again. Oh my God. It was so funny. Oh God. But it was fun and it kind of it got me my juices going. The whole thing is your juices have got to go. That's what the Actors Studio does, is your juices are going on that week and you go there. You might complain or you might not like the work or you might love the work. You just, all different every week, but your juices are going and your heart's pounding and you're going, oh, I hate that, or I love that, or so that's what's,
The
missing.
directors unit is one of my favorite, believe it or not. The directors unit there at the
Yes.
studio.
I love
learned,
the director's unit.
I love it a lot. I learned more from that
I know.
than I do in the acting unit.
Well, that makes sense, actually.
Why do you think that is when you said
Well,
that?
I think that you're hearing from those directors, and that's who, you're hearing, and you're talking about the writing, and you're hearing the directors talk about the work, and they're talking about it from a different perspective. In the unit and the acting unit, we're watching other actors act.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then sometimes we talk about the work, but a lot of times we talk about the play or the piece, and we're not really talking about what we need to be talking about. That I
So,
find.
Maggie, you did a few times at the directors unit. You've worked in that.
Yeah.
Sure. I
saw
think
you.
Catherine and I did something together. Maybe not. Yeah, I've done it about 10 times my whole life.
Yeah. We've done it a lot. I love working in the unit.
Yeah.
I find it great. It's just like doing a play or doing a movie or doing something. I mean, you're getting directed by someone, you're getting the whole group together, but now it's not happening.
Now I don't enjoy it anymore. I don't enjoy doing Zoom things.
I don't either.
It's not my thing.
Fun.
I don't go to the classes every day anymore. I used to go to all those, how they send you that email?
Yeah.
With all, I go on Friday to that one class.
Which one is it?
I know you're going to ask me. She's the acting teacher, and she does this thing called The Shadow, about the shadow.
Oh, yeah. I forget her name too.
That's wonderful. That's been
Is
wonderful.
that wonderful?
Catlin? You talking about
Wonderful.
Catlin Adams?
Catlin Adams, yeah.
Catlin,
Yes.
yeah.
I've been
She's
taking
an LA
her-
gal, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's in LA.
That
Yeah.
class is so good. Like, I would totally recommend you to. It's really fun for any
Catlin
actress.
is very good. Yeah.
So yeah.
But
that's
the reason I brought up the directors unit and you girls worked on it, I was wondering how you felt as actors when they, because they don't talk about the acting.
Yeah.
They don't talk
I
about
like
the
that.
acting.
I
And
actually
you're
like
sitting
it.
there as actors, and and I know you want to say something so bad a lot of times,
Yeah.
but you're not, Lou won't let you. And,
Well, they do let you.
They do let you sometimes.
Yeah.
It just depends.
you
I was working on that Lisa Richards new play. She had this play, and I think I got to say something. I don't know if I did or not, or maybe I just thought I wanted to say something. But you're right; it's a little frustrating.
yeah.
But I do like acting where nobody's going to say anything. You know what I mean? It's just like the pure form of doing the work, and then it's not on me. It's like on the writer, it's on the director, it's on them. I did my part. I was directed by them, so I did what they told me. I did the words the writer wrote, and then I'm not in discussion at that time. So that's why I think we have those two units, because in the acting unit, we're really going to discuss the actor.
Yeah. Do you follow directions all the time? Both of you.
Yeah, I always follow directions. I follow directions, and then I have suggestions. And I'll say, can I show you something?
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah. And then they'll say, they always say yes. Sure. They always say short. I did this movie called, I have a lot of movies on Amazon right now. There's a movie called Trial by Fire. I really like that movie.
That was great.
It's a great movie. And Ed Zwick directed it. And he did The Last Samurai and all these really big movies, John. He's a really great director. And anyway, he directed me in it. He had his way of doing it. And then I said, well, you know, can I just show you something, Ed? He said, sure, sure. We must have done, I don't know, for that scene at the table, Maggie, that little scene at that little coffee shop with
Like
Laura
5
Dern.
times?
Oh no, like 25 times.
No, come on, really?
And so it just kept going and going and going. And finally, he wanted this and he wanted that. And he wanted this piece that I did about 5 minutes ago. And then could I do that? And the one that I did, it was so complicated. I was trying to do it for him. And I finally said, let me just show you something. And I showed it to him and he said, that's it. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because I finally figured out what he wanted. It was hard to figure out what they want sometimes because they're expressing it in a way that's not computing in my brain. Yeah. You know, I can remember Sidney Pollack doing that with Dustin, watching Dustin and Sidney fight the whole time during Tootsie, and argue about what they were doing because Sidney was making a love story and Dustin was making a story about actors. They were coming from 2 different places on Tootsie. Yes. And so they would have different opinions about it. But I did watch Jessica Lange be totally manipulated by Dustin Hoffman. And I'd never seen anything like it. Like there was a very emotional scene and she wasn't coming up with the emotional life that he thought should be there. And so she was it was when he was going to reveal himself as a woman and he was on the stairs and I was always squatted down in some kind of piece of fabric that was the color of what she was wearing because I was a little, you know, stand-in. And anyway, he looked at her and he said, I'm going to tell everybody what you told me in your dressing room. And her face, exactly, Maggie, went, and tears started rolling down her face. And he said, Sydney, shoot it. And I thought, ooh, is that mean? What is that? Or is that good? I was a young actress, so I didn't know what that was, but it scared the shit out of me. I thought I'm never going to tell anybody anything in the dressing room because they might tell it. And she was very much in love with Sam Shepard at the time, and she was married to Baryshnikov. So I always thought it must be something about that because they would usher him in, her entourage, and usher the other one out. It was kind of like a revolving door going. I thought, well, this must be something about that. But you know, it was a very odd situation. I worked on that movie for 9 months, and Jessica and I never spoke a word, ever. And then when the movie was over, I ran into her at some little restaurant on Sunset, and she saw me and she said, you were the best stand-in I ever had. And I thought, how interesting, because I never bugged her. I didn't bother her. I didn't say anything. I just let her alone and did my thing. And then also she was very tired. She had done the movie Frances, if you remember that movie. She was brilliant in Frances. And she didn't want to do Tootsie. They begged her, they sent her all these flowers and said, please, please do it and all this stuff. So she did it, but she was tired. That's where she had met Sam. And she was just worn out from doing it, you know? So she was tired. So when Sidney Pollack, the camera DP, he would say, okay, we're going to light this scene. And back then when you lit a scene, John, you know, you lit it for a day, you know, you lit the thing. And so I'm out there, he would always say, quiet, Catherine. I would be reciting Shakespeare. I would be doing everything I wasn't supposed to do. I'm supposed to stand there and be quiet. And I was like, and then Dustin would come through and we'd act together, whatever. And it ended up that he said, what are you doing, Catherine? I said, I think what's going to happen when she comes out and she wants to go over there, she's going to go over here first and then maybe over there and then she's going to go there. So you better light over here too. He said, what are you talking about? Because this is before she blocked it. Usually you block the actor, the star, then you leave. But she was so tired, she had to go rest. And so I blocked for her and I made it up because I knew what she would do. Because that's what she was don't remember how Jessica was always moving and kind of like, you know, doing these different things. So anyway, after the first day when she came out and she looked at the marks, because there were marks, they were my marks. She would go, oh, just wouldn't say a word and do them. That's why I was so good for her. And then he would say, well, I guess you're right. What's she going to do this time? And we would do the next scene. And he couldn't believe that I knew that. And Biff knows him, right, honey? Owen, unmute yourself, Biff. Are you listening?
I'm
Maybe
listening.
he's just
I'm listening.
sitting there.
I am muted because I mute on Zoom. I was
I
going
see.
to ask.
So
Right.
I was going to ask you to tell that story because I think it's a great story. What was
yeah,
the
it's a
question?
great story. And what about Owen? I said, you know Owen.
I know him very well. Yeah,
Yeah, and he's a great
great.
guy.
he's not
And
feeling too well these days. He's got
No, he's not well.
but he's
Yeah,
he's a
he
marvelous guy.
finally started to respect me because I knew what she was going to do. He couldn't believe that
Yeah.
that's what she was going to do. Usually people just go straight to wherever they're going. She would go over here and do this. I said, well, you better get some light down there because she's going to go like this. I mean, it was like, I was very busy. I
The
had
thing
a really
that-
good time.
The thing that I never knew, it's interesting, John, I don't mean to jump in, but the interesting thing, I never knew that you never talked to her.
Never spoke.
In 9 months.
9 months.
That's incredible. I mean,
It was like, we
That's
never spoke.
incredible.
We never said
That's it.
hello. Nothing.
I mean, that's-
nothing.
That is.
that's like weird. I mean, that's like
Well, when
strange.
she would walk in, I would become invisible. I would just like waltz out and she would be there. And at first it was odd, but then I realized she was saving her energy. So I respected her. She was saving her energy to do the work because she was so tired. I mean, she had almost killed herself doing that Francis piece. That was,
that was very tough. Yeah.
I mean, she won an Academy Award.
Yeah.
She won the Best Supporting Actress for Tootsie, but she was up for Best Actress of Francis, and she should have won that one.
Yeah.
And then Leslie Ann Warren, she was up for Best Supporting Actress that year, and I didn't even know Leslie yet. But then Leslie became one of my, dear friends, and also I've coached her for many years.
She was
So-
the youngest member to ever get into Actors Studio.
Yes, she was,
Yes.
or is.
Yeah.
You know,
I think she was 17.
still is. So she's Victoria. She did that, and How About Choose Me? That was a great.
Let's
indie
get
movie.
back to Dustin Hoffman. What do you think
let's
his
get back
choice
to him.
was? No, what do you think his choice was? Was it right or wrong?
I know, John. That's a really good question, isn't it? Well, I'm going to say I think he was right. She couldn't get there.
I felt it. I think he was right too.
But I think it was a very painful thing. I think our business is mean. I think our business is really ugly at times. And, you got to have some thick skin to be in this business. And it's just.
Remember what Marty Landau said, that our pain is an actor's gift.
Yes, exactly. And he wanted that. Sydney wanted it out of her. It wasn't coming. Maybe she just wasn't wanting to let it out.
Yeah.
But whatever that trigger was, he didn't say it. Now let's remember, he didn't say it.
Yes.
He just said he would say it.
Yeah.
And then
Pain
that's
that
when
she felt,
she just was scared. And that's when she
an
got, and
actor's
then, it's a very powerful moment. If you go back and look at that movie, you'll see it. And now that I've told you that, you'll go, oh shit.
Yeah.
Acting's really weird. Really, it is weird. I mean, we will all admit that do it. It's a strange thing. It's like you saying, John, I don't know. I don't remember even being there. I did it. And I've done that too. Like I auditioned at that time for Death of a Salesman as one of the girls. The one with was
I
it the
remember
stockings?
Yeah, the
No, it was
stockings.
the young girls. It was the young girls, John. You know, the ones they meet
Yes.
at the restaurant. Anyway, and so Dustin had brought me over there. So I went, and Arthur was there, Arthur Miller, and I do not remember being there. I don't remember the Broadway stage. I was in Brooklyn in whatever year that was. I was in that world.
You were in
I
the
was
moment.
so. I
In
was
the moment.
I was not in this world. I was in an alternate universe. you know, and he asked me, Arthur said, "Oh, that's such a great dress. Where did you get it?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" I was talking like I was, you know, but it was back in my druggy days. So there was a little cocaine on my nose. So they realized that that might not be a good choice.
A friend of mine, Elizabeth Frank, she won the Tony for doing that. She played the wife in Death of a Salesman.
Yeah,
And
she was great.
many years ago, with Ed Binns, when she was going out with Ed Binns, who was like a father to me. I mean, I really loved the guy. We were gonna do. I played, you know, Biff in the.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot of years ago.
A lot of years ago. When I just got out of prison too, and then he recommended. That's when the Execution song came out, and he told me I should play that, but they gave it to Tommy Lee Jones. You know. But
Yeah, I said to Dustin after this was over, I saw him at a party that he was having in LA, and he invited me, and I said, "What happened? Why didn't I get that? I thought you guys were loving me." They said, "Oh, honey, we can't trust someone that has cocaine on their nose." I went, "What do you mean you can't trust me?" Of course I'll be there. They said, no, you can't, we can't, you know, you. And I didn't realize, see, because they're down, I'm up on the Broadway stage. What are they looking up my nose?
Oh my God.
Oh, God.
You know, when Dustin did that Death of a Salesman, Tom and Signorelli, who played the waiter, it was the only time that the waiter's ever been mentioned.
Oh, yes.
That, you know, in the review, Tom Signorelli was the waiter in that. Tommy Zig, you know, I love that guy. He was really, you know, we go back to Jimmy Ray's in New York and all of that.
Jimmy Ray's.
Jimmy Ray's. I remember when my good friend Richard Lynch and them would see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the late, you know, he was in the 7 Ups. That was his first starring role.
Wow.
And they were the guys. The real cops are the ones that arrested me. It was an organized crime task force in the Bronx, you know, and they're the one that he got a big kick out of it. But Tommy Zig, I remember he came in his Burberry, and if you had a Burberry in them days, we know you made it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, God, that was great days. I wanted, you know, Maggie, where did you study? Who did you study with?
She was at the neighborhood playhouse, right, Maggie?
Oh, did you?
Yes, I went to the neighborhood playhouse. I studied with Sanford Meisner himself.
Himself, great.
And he said, "Oh, you remind me of Suzanne Plachette."
Oh yeah.
I was like, "Really? I don't know. Okay." Some Jewish funny girl and she lived on my block. She grew up on my block, so I thought that was kind of funny. He got that vibe, you know, from me, that Upper West Side girl. And then I went to neighborhood playhouse, and then HB. I studied with Rochelle Oliver, who was a disciple of Uda.
Rochelle Oliver. I loved Rochelle Oliver.
She made a big difference in my life, Rochelle, because she's the first person who told me, you know, that I was really talented, and I didn't know that. I mean, I knew it, but she kind of said, "You're really good," and you know. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she's saying this to me. Anyway, so from there, I went on to the Actors Studio and studied with Sally Kirkland for a bit. And then Catherine, also my acting teacher, right here.
Right here.
Right here. Here she is.
Listen, is Rochelle Oliver still alive?
Yeah.
Wow. She's still over at the studio at HB? Is she there, Mag? Can't hear me. Oh.
We lost your, Maggie, we lost your voice, your sound.
Yeah, it's Maggie we lost. Do we hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, Rochelle's alive.
Is she teaching over there?
I haven't been there since 1984, but
you should go over and see her.
I don't think it's open because of COVID.
Oh, well, when it is open.
Right. Yeah, she really helped me a lot. She taught me all about the basic, you know, the act, you know, respect for acting, and then I auditioned for Uda.
Oh,
I auditioned to get in your acting. You were probably in that class. I don't know.
I probably was.
And
I
I
auditioned
didn't
with
get
a
in.
great actress named Amy Lemon, and Amy was much younger than I was, and we did. Oh, B.B. Fenstermaker. Remember that play, B.B. Fenstermaker or something? Anyway, yeah. And I was going to come into her apartment, and I always brought flowers and I forgot them. So at the back of the, in the studio, before you went on to audition for her, there were these silk, plastic flowers that had dust all over them. And I just grabbed them. So I'd have the flowers to hand her because I couldn't believe I forgot them. So I was already upset. And so
Wow.
I grabbed the flowers and I went in and she opened the door and I gave them to her and she took them and she threw them on the ground. And I started crying and didn't stop crying through the whole scene. I think that's why I got in. Don't think it was my acting.
But that was real.
But it's real. She did to you what Dustin Hoffman did to Jessica Lange.
She just threw them. I couldn't believe it. Oh, so we both got in there and we both started doing that master class. It was so intense. It was like, oh, Blythe Danner was in the class. Oh God, there were so many people. I can't think of their names. There were so great actors in that class. And we were like the babies. And we were just like, every week we were worried to death about our scenes. Every week. It was like, oh my God, we didn't rehearse enough. I didn't substitute enough. I used to crawl to her desk and be on my knees and go, Miss Agana, I don't think I substituted. She went. She said, it's okay, honey. Substitute next week. You got to do it again.
Well, I didn't get in, so.
You didn't have that fun. You didn't have that fun.
I didn't have all the fun you had, but Rochelle was a great teacher, so.
Yeah, she was. Did you know Deborah Hadwall? She was a great teacher. That's who I had over there before I got into Hagen. Maggie and I did a movie together that I wrote and produced and starred in called Running Out of Time in Hollywood, John.
That was great.
When did we do that? Biff was our producer. When was it?
2006.
That's when it came out. I think we made it in 2005. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was intense.
See it? Is it out there somewhere, Amazon or something
No,
like that?
Biff was, unmute yourself, honey.
I'd like to put it on Amazon because, or if I could get it there, because there were a lot of, it was interesting. And now it's sort of, a lot of the stylistic style of it is taken for granted. But in that time, it was not. It was improvisational.
State of the art.
It was state of the art. It was
Jimmy Edwards was my co-director. And then the thing was,
It's so long
and he
ago.
was crazy, but good. He was a great camera operator.
A great cameraman and a brilliant editor. And it was a lot of wonderful actors in it. And
mostly studio people, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should pursue it because if people
You
watch
should
it,
look
they
into
watch it.
And Biff,
You
I want to ask you, you're a producer. What about you producing? What work?
Well, we produced a wonderful daughter, and she was doing great. It's been a very interesting ride because
He produced a movie called the Men's Club.
Well, that was later, but I did a picture.
Later, that was years ago.
Yeah, which is interesting. But I started in the theater too. I did about 9 Broadway shows as a stage manager, and then got into live and tape television, and then got into the commercials business, which I was in for a long, long time, and along the way did produce the movie with.
Oh wait, you got to tell John the story, honey, about doing what's the play you did where you had to go on and be in the poker game?
Well, I did. I started as an assistant stage manager, so you usually had to understudy. And one of the shows that I did was The Odd Couple.
Oh.
And I understudied 2 people in The Odd Couple. John Fiedler, who was a wonderful actor, very I can't remember the role, but it was a very slight guy with glasses and a very nervous. He was brilliant, wonderful actor. So that was a stretch for me. And then a guy named Sidney Armas, who was more of a he was an accountant kind of a guy, more of a rough and tumble guy. Anyway, so one night I just never wanted to go on. One night in the first show I did was a show called Dylan with Alec Guinness. And at the end of the show, Kate Reed, is up in the not the bow, but on the a part of a ship, and he's taken up by a steward to show the remains of Dylan Thomas, and the steward recites one of the poems of Dylan Thomas at the end, and I'm on there, and Guinness was off stage, and Kate Reed, who was a wonderful actor, she was just brilliant. I did the poem, and tears came to her eyes, and because they were just hoping I'd keep the curtain up and get the poem out, but so that was sort of fun. And then I did this one with Sidney Armas. I went on with John Fiedler one night, and that was fine. I got through that. I do the thing with Sidney Armas, his part, and I thought I had it made. And we do the damn thing, and there's a huge chase that takes place with around this
It's a poker
apartment.
game.
It's after the poker game, and they're chasing Oscar around the apartment. And all of a sudden, I hit the sofa right down stage center. Stage left center is a sofa. And we hit the sofa, and it's my line, and I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. Not one clue. I can look off at the stage manager, Bernie Pollock, because it all is in slow motion. And Pollock drops down like, my God, because it's rapid fucking fire. The dialogue like this, and it's dead stop. And only thing I said is to myself, Biff, these are pros. Let them get out of it. And Nat Fry, who was a brilliant actor, was upstage, and you could hear their brains go, how the fuck to get out of this thing? And I didn't say anything. I'm just looking at them. I can remember. It looked like it's gonna take. I felt I was out there about an hour and a half. They're drained. Anyway, they got us out. We exited, then we all exit the apartment. And as we walk off, they all looked at me with their mouths down. No one ever said anything to me. But I never had to go on again. I was just as happy I didn't have to.
Well, Maggie, wait, I got to tell Maggie
unbelievable.
something. Maggie, do you remember that time that I got that play and I had to go on and I didn't get to go to rehearsals, and you came over and I had to do all the lines and you put them on the tape recorder and I had to learn the whole show? That show was Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean.
Unbelievable.
On La
And-
Cienega, right? We were on La Cienega.
Yes, and Alana Stewart, I was stepping in for her. She had to go on a cruise with George Hamilton. So I learned it all, John. I learned the entire show. I've never met the girls. I've never rehearsed with anyone, and I went on. So I go on. I went to a rehearsal and watched them, but I never rehearsed with them. So the stage manager ran me through the show the day before, but no people, no actresses. So the first time I meet them all is on stage, and I have a big part. It's Alana Stewart's.
Huge.
It's a big part.
And
You're like the star.
yeah, I was coming on. Marty came, Barbara Bain came, Martin Landau came, everybody came. And Mark came, everybody came. And then I don't think Mark came. No, I think that was my sadness, was that Mark didn't come. So anyway, he couldn't come for reason. But anyway, I go on and I'm out there and everything's going good. I go through the screen door, I come out, all the girls are there, and whatever I'm saying, and then I'm saying something, and then it's like this silence, and I think, oh, some poor girl doesn't know what to say.
It was
The
you.
poor girl's me. And I'm like, and all of a sudden one of them says, "Did you mean Jimmy Dean?" And I went, "Yes, that's exactly what I mean." She bailed me right out. And when I got off stage for the next act, I thanked her profusely. You could never, no one ever knew. I said to Marty, "Marty, did you notice I went, blah, 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 blah," and he said, no one knew that. No one knew that. You just felt it. It was like, it is like slow motion, Biff. It's when it happens.
Yeah.
And I've had dreams about it. I don't know if you all have had dreams that I go up on a line.
Oh, totally.
I hate it. It's the worst. It's the
Terrible
very
dream.
worst.
You don't
Or
know
that
what
I'm not going to
plane.
remember.
There
Isn't
was
it
a
horrible?
there was a wonderful English actor. I think Guinness told the story. Or some English. I worked with a lot of English, Noel Willman, and a lot of English directors and actors. But anyway, he in the comedies they used to do these matinees. They were called matinees, and they were really ladies' matinees. And this guy, this marvelous over the hill guy, but an old star, been an old star. He does this, comes out upstage and makes this huge speech, very grand, makes a huge speech. And as he leaves, he says, anything you could do with that, dear boy, to one of the actors, another play. He was lines from another play. He did 7 minutes of another play. And as he's going out, he says, anything you could do with that, dear boy, to the other actors. And they had to get back on it. I'll never forget that.
We love our business. I mean,
God.
the show
Yeah.
is so great.
I did a movie with, for David Lynch, Lost Highway. And my line was, I played a cop, and my line was, we got Pete Daton's prints all over the place.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when it came for me to say that, I just went blank.
Yeah.
Come out. The third take, it came down and I just said the line.
Can't remember it.
Amazing those things. You just went blank.
I know. You just go blank. It's like this horrible blank feeling like, what? I kind of do that in real life now. I'm like, I just like age does that. I was like, what is my dog's name? And we have two. I'm like, what is the dog's name? And then I go, it's Pixie. And I go, no, it's not Pixie. That's the nickname. It's like, what's the dog's name? And I could not remember the damn dog. It's named Lexi. And then we call it Pixie. But I mean, this was yesterday. I was like, I don't know if it's just age or what. But I think the other one thing is fear. I think the fear comes in and the adrenaline comes in and we just go blank, But, well, this is good. Are we almost done?
Just just about done. I just wanted the White Horse Tavern, when you were mentioning Dylan Thomas, when he went there and he said, I'll have 18 doubles, that's a world's record. He drank them and then went home and died.
Oh, the White Horse is where we went.
White Horse Tavern.
After
Studio.
18.
Yeah, right.
That's where we went, and we would go and we would drink after the session, and we would talk about how bad we were or how good we were, and how Miss Hagen was so mean.
All the writers used to go there. The White Horse Tavern.
She didn't tell us we were good, or we would be so upset.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Or we have to do the scene again. That would be the other thing. We had to do those scenes over and over and over again.
Well, John, you and I were in New York at the same time because we're the same age. We found out today.
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
I'm 69.
So am I. You were a Jimmy Ray's guy.
Yeah.
I was a Joe Allen's guy.
Well, we went there when we had money. Jimmy Ray was running tab.
I was a Joe Allen's guy and a Downey's guy, but you were Jimmy Ray's guy, and a lot of major people were Pacino and De Niro, and a lot of people were Jimmy Ray's guy.
Oh yeah.
Actually, Pacino's the only one that never paid his tab.
I was a Cafe Central girl. Maggie, were you a Cafe Central girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was later on. That was later on.
That was later on.
Over at Cafe Central. I wanted that trouble.
What's his name was the bartender over there? Bruce Willis. He was the bartender back with that.
Yeah, he used to have this. The payphone was his way he would call his agents.
Yeah, that's what he did.
It sure worked out for him.
Charlie Dobson and Charlie Harder then bought the old theater bar. It was beside the theater bar and it was called Charlie's.
Charlie's. And Shelley Winters and them hung out there.
They hung out there, and I can remember when Anthony Hopkins would come in from doing
Equus.
Equus.
Yeah, he was
Equus.
doing Equus then, yeah.
And he'd walk in, that's so intense. And he'd walk in, and he'd just sit down at a table, and no one taled to him for a half hour
Maggie
or so.
just sent me something. Oh, cute, Mag.
Great picture, Catherine. That was a great picture. Well, I went to acting school in the Village at Renata Manhart. It was on the 20th place, 1967. But then I picked up the gun and said the script, and I went away. That's where my career went. Because she told me to go to active studio, and I didn't even know what active studio was back then.
know.
I was into organized crime. I didn't care about. When I became
No.
an actor, I used to.
Well, don't you think organized
a
crime,
lot of women
show
liked me.
business,
A lot of women, I-
organized crime and show business are kind of the same thing.
You were a young guy at that time, though. John.
Yeah,
How
I
old
was-
were you? In your early 20s.
Yeah, I was 26 then when I went away.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to acting classes, I did Office Descending. Was my first play.
Oh, sure.
I did that in the village. Anyway, on
Oh,
that
that's a
note,
great
listen, what a gift all three of you, Ben and your mother, to thank you for coming.
I don't know what happened to my mom.
And mother, I call you
She
mother.
went and
You know,
made a
because
sandwich.
I love calling Catherine mother. I don't know why. There's something about you that you got so much love for acting and actors. I think that's why I call you mother.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And
Well, I
really
love you,
appreciate-
John, and
I
thank
love you
honey.
guys. And thank
And
you.
by the way, she's a great mother and a terrific wife. I'm so blessed to have had her in my life.
Well, I'm
Oh,
gonna put
that's
this up
sweet.
on Facebook and YouTube and send it over to Helen so she can send
Okay,
it out.
good. Send it
Okay.
out.
Thank you.
Okay,
God bless.
doll.
I love you guys.
Love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, John.
Bye.
Bye, Maggie.
Bye.
Bye.